Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Strength Club. We have our special friend and regular contributor to our form checks, Miss Elle Noir. Hello, Elle.
Hello.
Hello, she speaks. And starting strength coach, Alex Kosari. G'day, Alex.
Hello. I think the appropriate term is friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
I don't think it's special friend.
Well, it's special. Why? What is special?
If you just drag out special friend, it just sounds silly.
If I Google special
like
friend, what's going to happen?
There's too much left to the imagination with special friend. We'll go with friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Friend of the show, Elle Noir. So, Elle, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you sort of found starting strength and how you got into it all, the origin story?
Sure. So I have no physical capabilities. I'm a geek. I'm a biomedical engineer. My only cool thing growing up is I played paintball like very competitively, if you can believe that that's a thing. Traveled around the country playing paintball, but that was it. And then, just looking for a physical hobby, I tried CrossFit for a while. And burned out on it, the way people do. And so I found starting strength, and it appealed to the engineer in me, and here I am.
Nice. So how did you were you sort of Googling around trying to find like strength training programs, or did someone recommend it to you?
Yeah, just like Google.
Google. What did you Google? I want to get ripped for paintball. Is that how good our SEO is?
I liked barbell training, like from CrossFit. That's the stuff I really liked. So
Yep.
I was trying to find a program that would like have all of that and no cardio. So
Perfect. Yeah, that's the dream.
Mick, have you ever watched competitive paintball before?
No, I haven't.
My dad and I used to go to shows in the
course you did.
Northeast, in
Of
tournaments
course you
and things
did.
like that. They are some very brave, I am aggressively diving and slamming my knees into the ground type of people. It's pretty cool to watch.
If you come up behind
Competitive
someone,
paintball.
can you just kind of grab them and just like shoot him in the head? Is that a legal move?
That does not happen. It's just someone with like a 4-1-40, like sprinting, diving and sliding for like 3 yards, and then they're doing like this motion incredibly quickly, hundreds of times in a minute. It's
it's
pretty
like
cool
30
to watch.
balls a second you shoot.
30 balls
Yeah.
a second.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of balls.
It is. It is a tremendous amount.
Now I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, you should watch. Yeah, competitive paintball, everybody.
So how far did
screw
you?
starting strength?
Yeah, how far did you take it, Elle? Like how much? I mean, is there a professional league or something?
You can be a pro. I was not a pro. I say pro, but like that means people, like I was sponsored. People paid for me to play. But as a pro, you make like, I don't know, 20 grand a year. Like that wasn't going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I quit when I went to college. And there's college leagues, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you allowed to like rifle butt people? Is that a legal move?
I don't think it's
Do
a
you have-
contact sport.
Do you have a bayonet that you can put on the end of it?
It's just a
Yeah.
So I think us explaining what competitive paintball like in the Northeast is like you trying to explain Australian soccer. We just don't understand it conceptually.
well-
What is there a special kind of soccer in Australia?
Well, it's
Australian
not soccer at
football,
all.
Excuse me.
It has nothing to do with
Excuse me,
soccer.
Australian football.
The ball's a different shape. There's only one ball. Well, all right. Well, let's rip into some of your videos, Elle, because I mean the purpose of this video was we're going to do a kind of little intervention for you because I've been following you on Instagram and following your trials and tribulations as you work your way through the starting strength novice linear progression. And I thought it'd be good just to get Alex to take a look through it and see if we can give you some valuable feedback. So
Yeah, help me.
help you.
We'll try.
Yeah. When does the yelling start? I think you wanted us to yell at you a little bit, so maybe we'll save that for a bit later on. Do you want to look at the squat first, Alex? Is that
Um, Yeah, so we'll go squat and then upper body lifts, and then we'll do deadlift to finish off.
Okay. Here's Elle's latest squat video.
So what do we have on the bar here, Elle?
I think 155.
155. And how'd you feel about these?
They were okay. I mean, I'm at that point where like everything feels hard, but it didn't feel like I knew I was going to finish my sets. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so the first thing I'm seeing is the toe angle is a little bit shallow, but the knees are tracking out over the toes. So that's, fine enough. The times when we would want to shove the toe angle out more, get the knees out more, is when you are not getting depth. Right now, you're like at depth, comfortably. I would like these to be a little bit deeper, so I would probably go with toes out a little bit more, knees out a little bit more. The upper back position is like more or less fine. The things that we're looking for there is the elbows being roughly in the same position the entire time. There's definitely going to be some movement no matter what, but for the most part, these are okay. I would say the last rep gets a little bit higher than I'm normally comfortable with, so I would definitely go with those stance adjustments. How is this on the shoulder for you? Because that was kind of the point of all the squat modifications around it.
Yeah, I think the shoulder's doing a lot better. Probably completely unrelated to my squat position or anything. It just kind of clicked. I'm surprised you said that I would hit depth better with a wider stance, because I keep bringing my stance in, because when I try to go wider, I feel like I either don't hit depth or I get like the butt wink.
Yeah, so like butt wink, it's not really the end of the world.
Okay.
Rip has a good article on that. It's something that I don't necessarily care about, and it's something that matures out over time. So like if someone has super aggressive backgrounding to get to depth, it's not something that I'm super comfortable with. But for the most part, if there's like, oh yeah, their lower back got a little bit soft in the last 2 inches before they hit depth, and then they can retighten it on the way back up, that's more or less fine. It is one of those things where it will mature with you, so you'll get better at maintaining that lumbar position as you adjust to that sort of depth. So like with most form adjustments, even if people don't like it, I would say try it for at least 3 to 5 sessions, just to let it kind of bake in. Because it's just like it would be cool if everyone was good at everything, but then, my business wouldn't really exist. So it's just like, if you make the form adjustment, you're like, oh, it's perfect, I'm done. Then you're already a very athletic person and you don't need the help in the first place,
Sure.
So then normally these adjustments take a hot minute. But I like those. I like those squats a lot.
Cool.
All right. Do you want to look at the squat fail video next?
Yeah. So all the good things I said, just going straight to hell. What do we have on the bar here?
I'll look at my log.
Is this the 150F? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is... What kind of failure do you think this was, Elle?
I was having a bad day.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's how...
Bad day
like
failures.
I feel like I get to points now where, like, an entire day I'll just fail everything. I'm just too tired or something.
Okay, yeah. So I think a lot of people don't realize that you need to really engineer your day the best you can around training. So, like, your pre-workout meals need to be very consistent. Like your pre-workout caffeine intake needs to be consistent. Not saying that it needs to even be there, but it needs to be like, I didn't have caffeine on Monday and Friday, but I did no caffeine on Wednesday, and you're like, why is my Wednesday so horrible? But like, if you just have a bad day, take some weight off the bar, do the workout, and then hit the same thing again, maybe the next day or the day after. I would say that the toe angle still needs to be more severe. You're a little bit wider than that first video, which I like. But the heels need to pull in. So if you can actually see it, like towards the end, as you're trying to, finish that last rep, the heels pop in a little bit towards each other. That's where they need to be the whole time. So like knees out, super severe. Like it's going to look almost like a curtsy, like the knees just going super far out to the side. That's what you want to think about mentally. I think if you had like aggressive in-person coaching or peer pressure, like if you just had like your neighbor watching you through the garage, you would probably finish the rep.
Sure.
Yeah.
We can probably get it.
It's a mental toughness day.
I don't even think it's a mental I think it's a shame-based day. I like to tell that for all of my guys who are working out in the garage. You'd be like, call your wife out for this lift and just be like, judge me harshly.
Yell.
Like,
yell
make
at
fun
me.
of me if I don't do this.
All right. Let's look at the press next.
Ooh, gross.
I know.
Empty bar.
Are these warm-ups or is this a working set for you? What's going on here?
I don't know.
You don't know, man?
This is like they just all feel terrible, so I never put any weight on the bar because the empty bar looks like this.
Right. Yeah, I think the press, in the early stages of learning the press, going by feel and just being super confident with it is really helpful, because the bar path for the press, especially when light, deviates way more than the rest of the lifts. So like even with a light squat, it's technically forward midfoot, but it's still railed vertical. Deadlift is really vertical. Bench, no one really cares about the bar path too much until you get pretty advanced with it. But the press, like when people are watching their videos and they're like, oh wow, my body was on my heels, then I shifted forward, and the bar was, it had like 6 inches of lateral shift, because it starts forward, it goes back, and then the whole thing returns forward again. It can be really unsettling. This is kind of the don't think about it and just do it Shia LaBeouf style. You got to believe in yourself, believe in the you who believes in you style. Because like for a strict press, you kind of need to think about standing up tall under the bar and keeping the bar a little bit more towards the front of your foot. Because like right now, once the bar gets off your chest, it's really slow. I think you're doing that intentionally on this one, but it's right over the middle of your foot. Your body's behind the bar. You pull the bar back over your shoulders, and then now most of your weight is kind of behind the rough middle of your foot, and then the whole thing shifts forward to finish. You kind of want to think about like doing it so fast that it's right over the middle of the foot, and you're pulling your body up to the middle of your foot as well, like pulling your body up under the bar. It's like super light pressing. With this ratio to like how large of a person you are, how easy this is for you strength-wise, you could like play with this all day. It'd be fine. Do we have any videos of like a 45-pound or 50 something like that? Any heavier ones, Mick?
No, that's the only one we've got.
It's the only one?
This is 45.
Oh, this is 45? Okay.
Yeah. So I guess it's where
I
it's
would
like
put weight
this
on you
is
for sure.
Okay. This is the shoulder problems coming out too. Like I get a lot of pain the next day when I barbell press. I was doing dumbbell pressing just because it felt like it didn't grind my shoulder blades.
What kind of pain is that? Can you tell me about that pain?
Like literally grinding in my...
Like you feel it the next day, or you feel it... You don't feel it when
while
it's
I'm
happening?
doing it, I feel the grinding, and then the next day I feel it all like up on my traps. Like sometimes I get a headache from my traps and my neck.
Yeah. Is it like a soreness pain, like a muscular soreness, or does it feel like a weird dull aching?
No, like just a tight, like my muscles are tight.
Yeah, that's not really something to be super, super concerned about. So like the grinding and the popping and all of that stuff, that's under the branch of what we call crepitus. And it just kind of happens. Like I can, crack my fingers on command. It doesn't mean there's, a related pain response to my fingers. And then the big thing is like we really focus on areas when we're doing things. So it's like with the pressing, for example, you're really paying attention to your shoulders. They may have that same sensation when you are deadlifting and you're just not thinking about it because there's too many other things going on. It's like me, for example, like whenever I'm doing my deadlifts, I'll feel like my lower back rearrange itself as I'm getting tight to the bar. And then for a while I was like, this is fucked up. I'm going to end up in a wheelchair. Dear baby Jesus, please help me. But it's fine. It's just things moving and it's okay. But I'm aware of it because I'm deadlifting. Like it probably can happen right now when I'm sitting down in my in my bed rest chair because I sit on my computer for 10 hours a day. Like it's probably happening all the time. I'm just not paying attention to it. That stiffness, I would say, just go and do some activity. Like if you have like a tension headache, like go do some rows, go do some push-ups. Go move your fucking shoulders around.
Sure.
Go argue with some people on Facebook as well. That's the other
exactly.
alternative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And this is coming back to the paintball thing, Mick. After you're gonna have to Google like snake dive and see why.
I love the snake dive. It's pretty awesome.
Ruined.
The term sounds cool. The whole thing's awesome.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, until you turn like 18 and you run out of shoulder beatings. So.
I think I'm starting to understand why your shoulders are all messed up now.
But yeah, Mick, just for context, so essentially there's like this, how long is the snake? What is it, like 10 yards long by itself?
Sure.
Somewhere around there. But essentially it's this big inflatable tube. It's like low cover, but it basically runs up the side of the field, or I was going to say court. It's not a court. But then like crazy people like Elle will just run at it full speed and then just midair flying dive into it, so they don't get shot. It's fun. Okay. It's very fun to watch.
Does sound like it has a lot in common with Australian soccer, to be honest. There's about the same amount of violence.
A lot of inflatable tubes, a lot of violence.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of snakes. All right, cool. Let's take a look at Elle's bench video.
How are these benches doing, Elle? What do we got, 65 pounds here?
Yeah, and I regret that immensely today because I hadn't benched in since August, and then I just put my last weight on the bar and benched it. So
I think that's the correct decision. That's the correct decision.
So they felt good at the time.
Yeah, that's all that you're chasing. While we're alive on this earth, is just aim for temporary hedonism.
Why haven't you been benching much at all?
Alex will yell at me, but because I went to a massage therapist guy and he told me my shoulders were messed up because my pecs are too tight.
As soon as you said massage therapist, all credibility went out the window. Whatever you said.
I mean, they operate on an interesting kind of school of thought, like in the massage industry. I would guess I'd say like a second close friend. Not that I only have two, for those of you counting at home, but he's a close friend of one of my close friends. But I've talked to him about it pretty lightly. And then they're still kind of in the area where it's like fascia is a contractile tissue. Like tight things can, like there's in the school of thought that like an active tonus in the muscle is inherently bad as opposed to just a thing that is happening always. Like my forearm is tight right now as my brain is just telling it a function to keep my microphone here, my 7-pound microphone. Where it's just like tight pecs will actively change the position of your shoulders, being like, sure, but posture is almost entirely voluntary. It's like you can slouch if you want to, and then you can straighten up your back and look like a British officer in World War II if you want to. So like it's an entirely dependent thing. And then to say that either the person has to have like a near constant mental awareness of where their body is in space and time, but like constantly pull your shoulders back. That's pretty crazy. And then to think that you're going to like tell a specific muscle to relax almost all the time, it's a big ask, I would say. So like the whole like things are overly tight, I would say it's a prescription that can be remedied by like do more physical activity. It will likely sort itself out. And by likely, I mean it will,
Yeah.
Did you replace it with anything? Were you doing like push-ups or dumbbell bench or anything like that?
Nothing. Just overhead press.
Just overhead press.
Not much of it, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, in his defense, when I've seen him like I guess 5 times over 2 months now, and I could not get into a low bar squat position when I started seeing him, and now I can, but I think he like eventually decided that it was actually, he stuck all his fingers in between all my ribs and it was awful, and I think that's what fixed it.
Aggressive rubbing. I wish I got paid to do that job, man. I think that it's a super interesting one, because like no one can necessarily say like these experiences didn't happen to you, or you were tricked and you're a fool,
I'll take it,
Exactly, yeah. So it's just like the thing happened, and I mean, like the result, it's roughly approximated to where you are now, and that's fine. But then you just kind of have to like put your skeptic's hat on, and then be like, okay, well that was 2 months ago, and I've been practicing getting into the low bar position for 2 months. How much effect did that practice have versus just time? So it's just like most like just normal tendinopathies, or even to say like most disc injuries will kind of spontaneously resolve in like 3 to 6 months. So people will have an injury. They will be like, I went to the bodega on the corner. They put voodoo into my spine, and I got better in 3 months of having a witch doctor rub my spine. We're just like, okay, well, we can't really separate it from time, That's the interesting thing about it. But like manual therapies, you'll see it a lot in videos. I think there's a lot of chiropractors now who are like, they use like a hammer and chisel and they just kind of like knock people's backs around. And it's just like big jack dudes just getting like hit with a hammer. And forgive me for going on my soapbox, but essentially it's just like, yeah, the person's getting warmed up. You're moving the person through a passive range of motion. You're distracting them by doing other things to them, So like, for example, like that's a thing. We used to do that, all the time. Or it's just like kind of like active partner stretching. It's just like, okay, I'm going to notice my shoulders are more limber if I've been very actively stretching my hamstrings for probably like 10 minutes. Because I've just been moving my shoulders around and my body has just kind of warmed up a little bit, Has nothing really to do with the fact that I've been stretching my hamstrings, but my shoulders are more loose now, So do with that information what you will. So in short, Elle, you're a fool. Sue the guy. Take him to the cleaners.
Ask him to get out his hammer and chisel next time. Get serious about this. Yeah.
Like, can you hammer me? Yeah. And he'll be like, no, this is not the office for that.
This is not that type of massage.
This is not the. You guys do full hammer service.
Yeah, I think it's probably a lot of things.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Push back on that if you would like to. Do I sound like a crazy kook? Does he sound like a crazy kook?
No, I think it was a lot of things. I think it probably sped some stuff up, but I think it was really that in combination with taking the time to get my back a little stronger too. I think there's just a lot of things going on. Like in the beginning, my husband, he's very kind to me. He was like, I think that like no young guy can appreciate how weak your back is.
I thought he was going to say how weak you are.
They can't possibly fathom how weak you are, So I think taking the time to get some like baseline strength is also helpful.
Mm-hmm. Her husband's name? Jordan Feigenbaum.
Oh.
The barbell medicine. That's him. Yeah, that's a very valid point. And you'll see that all the time going into like personal, like if you just go to like a Globo Gym personal trainer,
right?
And they'll just be like, why can't you do this? And then essentially they'll just kind of resort just to machines and be like, all right, I'm just going to set pins for a while because this person's kind of hopeless, But that's a very good point. Like for me, before I do squats, I probably do like 5 to 6 sets of upper back work just to get my shoulders loose enough to hold the damn bar,
Yeah.
Well, it's one of them things, but I like the squat. I like the squat that you have a lot. I'm not super concerned about it. I think it can just mature on its own, and you'll develop more preferences about the grip.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's move on to deadlifts.
Mick, this is yours. You can take this one.
Oh, no.
It's that good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, these are pretty solid. I think that you are... Let me just have a look. I wasn't really...
He wasn't really paying attention.
I wasn't really paying it. Oh, no, because I was like messing around with all the other controls. No, these look pretty solid. You are losing your back a little bit, but a little bit of tightness in your lower back, but these are pretty solid, I think.
Screw the grip, man. Hook grip sucks. Team over under for life. Tell you what.
Yeah, you lost that last one there. Was that did you rip a callus or something?
Yeah, so that's my question is like grody calluses. Like my poor mom when I went home for Christmas was horrified by my hands.
I'm assuming you just like shake your mother's hand as soon as you see her.
Yeah, high five.
Yeah, she takes her glove off and then she just has the elbow length gloves. Yeah, I mean, just use a pumice stone if you're concerned about it. I'd still like if you're holding the bar relatively correctly, the skin should be kind of at enough tension where you're not developing crazy calluses. If you have a bar that's like a super aggressive knurling for whatever reason, like let's just say you bought a bar that was just sharper than normal, just get a bar, like get a file sander and spend 30 minutes with it. there's no point in tearing up your skin. Like, even at my heaviest deadlifts and when I was climbing 3 or 4 times a week, those were in the same period of my life. My calluses weren't that bad. Your skin thickens, but it shouldn't feel like a mound of dead skin on your hand. That's just like a big chunk. If you're doing that, you gotta move those things around.
Have you got some chalk? Are you using any kind of chalk or anything like that?
No, I have some. So it is a Texas tire bar, which is probably like some of the
Is it brand new?
I even get June.
Okay. Yeah.
I get it I have calluses across my back.
Oh wow.
And I get it when I squat. I pull the calluses off, and then I get to the deadlift, and it's.
I thought the power bar would have had a less aggressive kind of knurling because it's kind of designed for deadlifting and.
Nah,
the other way around.
I would in fact say the opposite.
Other way around, right? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Off the show. You're voted off the island. I'm sorry, mate.
Have you got a power sander there, ready to go, Elle?
Sure.
Yeah, you can go to Home Depot, get like a $2 bar sander, and then spend 30 minutes on it. I think those deadlifts were totally fine. There's not really too much I would adjust outside of saying, if you think the grip is bottlenecking the pull, change the grip and then work on hook grip later. So if you have a lighter volume day, you can do hook grip then, or let's say if you're doing hook grip on your warm-ups like a crazy person, that's okay too. But if you're limiting your total progress by the fact that your hands can't hold it, try a different solution, I would say,
Okay.
Yeah, and for a lot of people who have absolutely no aspirations of competing in powerlifting, the grip strength is incredibly useful. But if you are still able to make 30 pounds of deadlift progress a month, but you're only making, let's say, 10 because of your grip, fix it. Use over-under, use straps, do something else. I like over-under. I over-under from 130 empty bar, 135, everything.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of over-under. I used to do it a lot.
Yeah.
It's just, it just feels, I
Why
feel like
not,
something's
guys?
about to tear off.
The biomedical engineer in me is looking down the line 20 years and.
Now that's why if you have any sort of drastic, uncontrolled eccentrics, so the time where you'll see it a lot is underhanded barbell rows. So it's you've pulled it up with so much momentum to the top. And then essentially it's you already have a really, really tight bicep at that point. It's a very short tendon length on the distal end. And then with that, you're having a large amount of load going onto it that it wasn't prepared for. Then you can definitely take a trip to Snap City. But you're fine. You're fine on a slight arm bend. You'll watch Olympic lifters, they can be cleaning 400 pounds with an arm bend and their biceps are fine. And I would also say this is a good argument to do plenty of curls, I would say. Yes.
Chin-ups.
Yeah.
For the Lord's lift, the curl.
But yeah, I still can't open a jar of pickles. It's pretty embarrassing. So I would like my grip to be better.
Your husband may be over tightening the pickles then. Just as soon as you get them, he's tightening them. Just in the store before you get home. If you ever turn around, he's just cranking it.
He's you can bodyweight deadlift, but you can't open pickles. This is just not a useful sport.
There's a video. There's a famous video of a guy at a baseball game trying to open a jar of something. I don't know why he's got a jar at a baseball game, but he's this jacked bodybuilder guy, and he's just struggling to get the lid off whatever this thing is. I don't know what. I'm actually trying to think now why you guys actually trying to open a jar at a.
Yeah, why
game.
would you?
What's in a jar at a baseball game? But anyway, he couldn't get it. He had to basically hand it to his girlfriend who opened it, and the commentators were taking the piss out of him. He just
had sweaty trend hands, is what it was. He's a constant.
Didn't have his gym chalk with him, so
exactly, yeah.
I think we've got a deadlift fail video as well.
Oh yay! Everybody loves failures. What kind of failure is this, Elle?
The same day, right after my squat failure.
Okay, so this was just a bad training day altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to adjust your expectations on these days. If you go in and feel creaky, aim for the stars, but if you need to take some weight off the bar, take some weight off the bar. This is a really good example of what an actual deadlift failure looks like on the floor. It's the back extension is just not there. So it's on the first attempt.
You really did have a good crack at it.
I watched the video back and I was I can't believe I just did that to my back. It was not worth it.
See, like the first run at back extension was good, and then, it just wasn't strong enough. I think that's totally fine. I'd rather failures be like this than the person just kind of not, doing the rep a lot of the times. But yeah, this is a take some weight off the bar, do some more reps, or adjust some programming stuff. Like form-wise, you know what to do. We know that you know how to deadlift at this point. It's just kind of putting the pieces together.
I feel like these are the same weights I was at, embarrassingly, in August when I hurt myself. And I was in the same spot in August where, like, every other day it would be easy. And then the next day I'd go back and put 5 pounds on the bar and just fail it. And then same weight the next day and it would be easy again.
Yeah, that's a programming thing for the most part. That is entirely a programming thing. The other option is to like overeat and oversleep, So it's like if you can line up 9 hours of sleep a night and you're at a 500 calorie surplus, you can go for a much longer period of time than you think off of those two things. But like in reality, no one sleeps that long.
I do, actually. I sleep 9 hours, 9 hours a day like a champ. I will send you my Garmin like history 9 hours every single night.
Do you just have
and
terrible
12 on
sleep
the weekend.
apnea and it's just not working?
I do. I don't get any deep sleep. Like I get an hour of deep sleep. No.
Go do a sleep study, Elle.
Yeah.
Go do a sleep study and be like, doctors, please watch me while I sleep and sing sweet songs to me and brush my hair.
Yeah.
And then they'll help you out.
What's your what's your diet like? Are you sort of tracking calories and protein and?
Yeah, I'm like a zealot. So actually, this week has been really awesome because I've been eating like an asshole, like all Christmas food, and sleeping 12 hours every single night. So obviously, I had no programming problems.
So you just got to eat like it's Christmas all year round, basically.
Oh my God.
Right. Well, I also gained like 10 pounds, so that just can't be every single week of my life.
Isn't it, Alex?
100% lean body mass. It's actually all just organs, just no muscle, just an enlarged heart now. That's it.
Right. So I'm a vegetarian, so it's really hard to get protein, but I track like every single thing that I eat, and it's like 130 grams a day, pretty much right on. If I try to go over that, I get sick because it's like at that point it's like 3 protein shakes.
What kind of protein shakes are you having? Is it pea?
Whey and
pea
casein?
Protein?
No.
Oh, okay, you're doing actual whey? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. 130 is lower than I'm comfortable with, but I wouldn't pull that as like an immediate suspect for a lack of progress. I hate to say it's a programming thing, but it's a programming thing, dog.
So fix my programming.
Absolutely not.
Start yelling, Alex.
No. I only like to point out problems and then not resolve them.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we can do the programming thing now. We have a nifty spreadsheet here, which I've never seen anyone format their spreadsheets like this. I've seen a lot of homebrew spreadsheets. This is the first one I've seen in this style.
What did I do wrong?
I'm not saying it's wrong. I didn't say that. Very explicitly, I didn't say that it was wrong. I'm like a lawyer with my words here. Can you tell us what crossover symmetry is?
So it's back strengthening, like it's the resistance bands. You can see them on the inside of my squat rack, and you do like YTW stuff with them. There's like a whole program.
Okay, and what's kin stretch?
It's kind of like yoga, but for
cooler.
Geeks. Yeah, a little more sciencey.
Okay.
Like, cause I can't relax. I gotta. It's like
medically
yoga,
speaking, you can't relax.
Right. No, like yoga, like you're supposed to be zen. I can't do it. So in kin stretch, they like yell at you and make fun of you instead.
Nice. Okay. So it's just like a dominatrix style yoga class.
Sounds like I'd really enjoy it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's just stretching, like trying to fix my shoulders. I took that up.
Stretch. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I would want to say that the first thing is there's nothing wrong with your shoulders, Elle. If you ever say that again, it just breaks my heart every time I hear it. It's so like if someone comes up to you with a baseball bat and slams you in the glenohumeral joint, and you're like, "Ow, that really hurt," then we can be like, "There's something wrong with your shoulder." But for the most part, It's probably totally fine. Outside of like a dramatic acute trauma, barbell training is super safe. You're probably okay.
Sure.
Your shoulder, I like to use the word cranky. I like to say your shoulder's cranky.
Okay.
Not like your shoulder is bipolar or manic depressive. I think cranky is an appropriate word for it.
Okay.
So like me, for example,
Well,
like my lower back gets cranky if I squat at too high of an intensity too frequently. But yeah, so the first thing I like to do whenever looking at people's programming is just trying to suss out frequency first. And then the way that you have it is interesting because I guess we can kind of block it up into days. So like, from December 1st to December 2nd, we have 2 squatting events. So we have one on the 1st, one on the 5th. So 2 squats a week. We have 3 upper body a week, 2 deadlifts, and then we have some kin stretch, some symmetry, and rowing. How stressful is that crossover symmetry stuff for you?
It's less bad now because it's really hard to scale like resistance bands, which is my main complaint about it. So in the beginning, I couldn't get through it without getting cramps, but now it's less terrible.
Do you kind of use it as like a warm-up thing, or is it like its own dedicated session for you?
Like at the end of the session. Maybe I should use it as a warm-up, but...
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely...
It's like 5 minutes.
If you have your heart set on doing it and it's 5 minutes of activity, do it on your warm-up, especially for your squat if you find that your shoulders are irritated. So like if we just think through that and you're like, okay, I have this special shoulder warm-up that I like to do, do it as a warm-up, not as a cool-down. It's not going to take too many resources away from any of the things that you're doing because it's like the upper back is functioning isometrically on almost all of your lifts outside of the press. And the press, it's a pretty major component, So it's like you would want it a little bit warmer for that, but it's not going to pull resources away from your squats.
Okay.
I would move to add a squat slot in, and then we can look at the next week going down from the 8th to the 14th. This one you have 3 squatting slots in, and you were front squatting and squatting at the same time. So this one on December 8th that just says 100 for the front squat, what was that? Was that like you just did 100 for one set? 5 sets of 3?
Sorry.
Or
5 sets
3 sets of 5?
3 sets of 5.
Wait, you've said what?
5 sets of 3 reps.
Okay, so
100.
you did 9 reps of low bar squat and then 15 reps of front squat.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a lot of squatting in one day.
Well,
not saying that it's too much.
I was planning to do 3 and 3, 9 and 9, and then I felt good, so I kept going.
Yeah, you can definitely take advantage of those days. That's totally okay. I would plan it a little bit more. Interesting. And then on this same week, you also deadlifted 3 times. Still 3 sessions of upper body, no kin stretch. Okay. And then no benching. The first time we see a bench is by itself on December 28th. The poor bench press.
Yeah.
That was in preparation for this video, I think, as well.
Yeah, I just knew that you guys would tell me to do the program, so I tried doing the program.
So what happened between the 17th and the 24th when there was nothing?
You gotta want it.
Yeah. Just an asshole.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, did you feel like crap, or did you couldn't be bothered, or?
I went on to New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an actual excuse.
Barbells are illegal in New Hampshire.
I was traveling.
Yep.
I have some clients in New Hampshire. If you need a gym to work out at New Hampshire, I got you hooked up. Okay. Yeah, so if we ever see like a dramatic... So essentially what we're looking for is like very dramatic and unplanned changes in the ratio between like how much work you're doing within the week versus how much you're doing for like the month. So like let's say, for example, we don't have November here, but for November, you're squatting, let's say 12 sets a week is a pretty fair average. And then all of a sudden, 1 week in December, you have decided to now squat 18 times or 21 times a week for those sets, and you've kept your deadlift static. That's a pretty high spike in squatting. Now, how are we going to put that in relationship to it? That means you would, let's say, need a light week beforehand, and then you're using that high volume week as a performance event. So you're seeing how much squatting can I get done in a week? Okay, that's a way to do it. But on the other end of it, it's like if you dramatically increase the amount of work you're doing just from 1 week, relatively unplanned, your next week will likely suffer. Now, that's totally okay so long as it's planned for. And then we kind of see people will accidentally do it and fall into these things. Or if let's say we look at the 14th to the 21st, you pull down on your squat frequency pretty significantly. So it's just like you had it going with these 110. Were these failures, by the way, at 110? When it says 110, 1F, 1F?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I failed the second rep of all 3 sets.
Okay. Yeah, so if we can kind of like intuit from there, you had a very high stress week and then attempted to continue ramping up the stress and failed.
Yep.
So it's just like nothing lasts forever. If we all could have high stress weeks forever, we would. That would be really cool. But essentially, we're seeing from the 7th to the 14th a very high stress week for you. You can kind of start seeing that terminate on your failure with a 175 deadlift. And then after that, you fail pretty ubiquitously across the board on your front squats, even though you still had a 2-day break. So it's like if you were training on the 12th, rested 1 day, came back on the 14th, and you failed, be like, okay, she's just locally tired. She just didn't recover from that, third bout. But if you still had 2 days of rest and you came back, you pulled back on your low bar squatting volume and you failed your front squat volume, that was a little bit too high of a high stress week for you, or your expectations were too high on the second week. So it's just like, this is why we need to waive intensity for week over week. So it's just like, it can't be high stress forever. We need to have these medium stress weeks and these low stress weeks, and then use them all as tools to make sure that you're not, grinding yourself to dust and can still be training productively.
Sure.
Yeah. So like kind of having an active intent there. And that's one of those things where you can ask a lot of people, even if they don't do strength lifting or powerlifting, just guys who are in the gym for a while, they'll be able to tell whenever their body's feeling a little beat up. So it's very possible that, on the 15th you came in and weren't feeling that great, but decided to push super hard anyways. And then, you kind of, you put yourself in a bad mood for the 16th and the 17th, had some more failures there. And then because you had 2 failure sessions in a row, you didn't train for 7 days in a row, after that. Like the goal here when you're zooming out for a month or for a quarter is, how many times am I training? How many times am I training productively? Multiple failure sessions in a row tends to put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And then they tend to take weeks off of training when they didn't have to. Because it's like, realistically, could you have trained somewhere in the great state of New Hampshire? Oh, absolutely. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I totally could have made it work, but it was like, well, it would be awkward. I'd have to like stay up late to make it work, and I don't want to do that after I just had 2 bad sessions.
Exactly, yeah, because it's just like people don't like continued bad streaks or continued streaks of being weak, unless you really enjoy training. So Mick, this is an interesting thing for you. If you are in the Mick/Rusty camp of not enjoying training, I've noticed these things are a lot more
99.9% of the population, Alex. Probably more.
Where it's like, if you're in the Me and Chase Foundation of America and we just love going to the gym, I'll go to the gym and I'll be like, I haven't set a PR in 3 years, but I love it. I'm having fun.
No, I only like to train if I win.
Yeah, you have to win training. There's no way that could ever produce anxiety
I'm
whatsoever.
No, it's again why I had to quit sports, because I hate losing so much that I would rather just not play.
Yeah. And then now we can enter the philosophical.
Now we enter the psychological aspect of Elle's training.
Yeah.
It's obviously a really healthy life outlook, and I recommend it.
Yeah,
it's super healthy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's I would argue that it's healthy in a lot of things, like in your professional career. I'm sure it's helped you in your professional career and your education tremendously.
Sure.
Family Monopoly nights are probably not that much fun for you, though.
Just flipping the table.
Yeah. We don't play.
Yeah, we don't
Elle
play
anymore.
Monopoly anymore.
Yeah, that's because. And they.
Yeah. She like kicked her niece in the ribs. She was like, how dare you? It was my railroad. But
so Alex, if you think, if you were looking at Elle's program now, like what would you recommend, like moving forward, what would be your recommendation?
Find solutions to train consistently. Stop looking for solutions to the problem, and then just keep attempting to play the game. So it's just like you can't win training and you can't find a solution for your shoulder. I can't find a solution to my face. There's a lot of things that we just are stuck with. You just have to continue attempting it, and these things will likely sort itself out. So like if we can operate in the assumption that you're going to train 3 to 5 times a week forever, and I don't have to be concerned about that whatsoever. The first thing would be introducing the bench press, introducing a little bit more variety into the upper body through the bench press, and then start a little bit of cycling on your squat intensity, because you can't just run at full squat intensity, full bore every session for too long. That works for a little bit. That's the LP. It's awesome. You can take a lot of people's squats from like nothing to 3 something. But for right now, it seems like that's come to its natural termination. So the squat programming needs to be intentional. The frequency needs to be intentional. And then with that, I would also start waiving some of the deadlift intensity as well. So like if you're doing 3 super intense squat days a week, and then every time you're doing that, you're also doing 3 relatively intense deadlift days, you can't expect to be able to sustain that forever, you know? So it's like the upper body would probably be fine without too much babysitting for like 2 months, just because you've introduced the bench press again. You know, so long as you're not doing anything crazy, you can probably get away with just having basically a new LP on the bench press. But the deadlift and the squat need attention in terms of either taking a light day, introducing some new volume targets on one day, introducing some intensity targets on one day, and then normally syncopating those 2 things. So like for, you know, it's a relatively surefire way of doing it for most of an intermediate career, is saying that on my heavy deadlift days, my squat target is going to be, let's say, a pause squat or a tempo squat or just lighter volume. You know, and on the days where I'm doing a heavy squat and I'm going to, you know, kill myself there, my eyes are going to pop out of my head, my deadlift target can now be a power clean, or it can be a power snatch, or it can be, you know, a tempo deadlift or an RDL or what have you. You know.
What do you think about cycling the squat and the front squat? Because I mean, I'm looking at it now, and it's you know, low bar back squat, then a front squat, then a deadlift. Like it does seem like pretty intense.
I would split it up over, so ideally, if I could have it my way, I would split it up over more days. You can probably get away with that frequency if you manage it properly, as long as you just added more sessions. But you can't expect to be front squatting and low bar squatting at a very high relevant intensity, like PR level intensity at the same time, all the time. So that just goes back to what I was saying before. So like, for example, you know, if she has like a big deadlift day and she's like, all right, I'm gonna hit 185 for 3 on my deadlifts. Now I have these leg resources left over. That's when I can say, all right, now I'm going to introduce my front squat targets for like 4 sets of 6 or something like that. You know, keeping the front squat reps really low. Go ahead.
I was thinking of front squats as like a warm up for back squats.
But you were doing them after. Are you doing them before or after the low bar squats?
I was doing them before. So I would do stop in the middle of my warm up, do front squats, and then keep going up for my low bar squats.
Yeah, then I mean they're just kind of not doing anything then. You know.
Well, they're doing something. They're kind of, you know, messing up how much you can low bar squat.
Yeah, they're taking resources away, and then it's just like that can be planned infinitely better, I'd say. I thought you were doing them afterwards, as the spreadsheet was kind of, it goes like, you know, squat, front squat.
Sorry.
You're not doing the rowing before all of the squats, are you?
I do that in the morning.
Hopefully the rowing's not. Okay. You're doing AM, PM sessions? God bless.
Oh, now you're talking Alex's language.
There we go.
The rowing is to make me less angry at work. Like if I row before I get on my computer, I'm a happier person.
She has a lot of boat-related anger that she needs to get out through rowing.
Preparing for the global warming.
But so in that situation, you can do that. You know, you can tactically place in a lighter variation during a warm-up, but only something that's not going to take too much strength away, you know? So it's like I will oftentimes practice my power cleans during my deadlift warm-up, but I'll make sure that, you know, I'm taking a pretty ample amount of time, or like a little bit more generous rest times between after when I'm done power cleaning and then when I'm getting into my deadlift work sets. So it's like I am on my 3rd power cleaning session back after a 9-month layoff of power cleans. So, my first session was 175 for, probably 5 or 6 sets of 3. Session was 185. My last session was 195. Just basically just shaking the rust off. That's not going to interfere with my deadlifts because it's so relatively light. I don't really care. But with basically like your front squat and your back squat tracking so closely, and this also pretty largely depends on the person's build, it's not advisable to place that in the warm-up. What you could do is you could go front squat, do your bench, do your overhead press, do your back work, and then do back squat at the end of it. You could separate them with a little bit of time. You could still do both in the same day if you really want to, and then have a better time with it. But it's like if you were practicing front squats for a technical reason, so like if you're like, I just really want to work on my front rack grip, and let's say your back squat was at 250, and then you're playing around with front squats at 135, that's totally fine. And let's say you have a really long torso and really short femurs and front squats aren't taxing for you, that's totally okay. But with these right now, you have a pretty short torso, long femurs, front squats are going to be hard for you. It's a little bit of self-sabotaging. I would definitely move the front squat somewhere else.
I'll be honest, I was doing it for the visible quads.
Wow.
For the quids.
Yeah.
The quads.
Yeah.
Get a leg extension.
Get a leg extension.
I knew exactly where you were going with Alex. As before, she even said it was like Alex is going to talk.
Here's what we need to find. There's an old clip of Rich Piana talking about how he injected. So he was having like knee problems. How he was injecting HGH directly into his knee. You got to do that. I think that's the solution.
Okay.
So just like penetrate the primary bursa of your knee capsule, HGH directly into the knee, and then leg extension machine.
Forget all the other advice you've heard on this video and just do that.
Yeah. I think
and
that
then I
at the
can
end
sue
of the day,
you and the massage guy and just retire.
2 for 1.
Exactly.
It's okay.
It's a win. It's such a win.
Okay.
All right.
So you think my LP is done?
I don't. You're not doing an LP, so it is done by the fact that it's not happening.
Okay. If I were to do it, it would be done.
No, not at all. I think if you reset a little bit and then made some adjustments on it, with the introduction of the bench press and then starting to cycle squat intensity, I think you have more room to grow, 100% for sure. So if you want like low bar squat, front squat, low bar squat again, you would very much so likely have some sustained squat progress. The deadlift, I would say pull back from 3 sets of 3 for a little bit. Go back to 1 set of 5, see how an over-under grip will treat you, because it's very possible that you can pull 205 on your back, but your hook grip is limiting you, so that would take more data points to find out for sure.
Okay.
And then it's just like, if you're, I would say it's, really just to everyone, don't be super married to the LP no matter what. Because again, it's just like, I'm going to be training for another 50 years. I'm going to be a 80-year-old man going to the gym in the morning, getting a quick pump on, coming home, just a Cialis commercial for the last 3 decades of my life. But it's just like, you don't need to be overly concerned with, is my LP going to end at week 12 or week 14 or week 16? If you have...
No, I have to win at it.
Exactly, yeah. We have to win at training. Yeah, but it's one of those things where you're going to be in the intermediate area no matter what eventually. What you're attempting to do with the LP is to give yourself as solid and robust a base as possible. You don't need to stay building that base forever, because eventually you kind of pass that point of diminishing returns. But you just need to make sure that it's like, all right, I'm leaving the LP. I have a really strong work capacity in my squats, deadlifts, and upper body movements. I know how to do all of them, and I'm decently strong. Now I can enter into the land of intermediate programming. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents, my soapbox.
Cool. Did you have any specific questions that you needed answered, Elle?
I think I just asked like a million of them. I think
curls, where do curls fit into all of this? Was that one of them?
See, that's an AM PM session thing. That's that's deadlifts.
Maybe the rowing can be done underhand, so you're fitting that in.
So I would rather do like 5 sets. The sessions are really long with the 5 sets of 3. I would rather do like 5
I believe
sessions
you.
a week than do that.
I 100% believe you.
It's like
if you're
exhausting.
Doing 6 sets of squats with like a 3-minute rest in between, and then 3 sets of deadlifts, plus crossover symmetry, plus upper body movement.
I'm so like bored by the end. So
yeah.
Can I do like press or bench like on an opposite day, or?
So that really depends. That's a good question. It's, how much, like, if we want to separate fatigue into like a peripheral versus central, I can do forearm work and not interrupt my squats whatsoever. I can go in, do 10 sets of wrist curls, be like, sick forearm pump, bro, and then be totally fine. It's a peripheral fatigue that I don't really care about. If I go in and then I hit, let's say, 5 sets of all-out deadlifts, my bench press the next day is going to feel like trash because it's like my entire back is sore. I feel tired as all hell, And if we can kind of say like these higher magnitude lifts can disrupt other things in the system. So it's like, let's say that if you set a squat PR for a single rep intensity or for a set of 3 or something, and then you hit another 25 reps after that are hard, your overhead press the next day, it's probably going to suck a little bit. Until you're a very well-conditioned athlete, your overhead press is going to suck a little bit. But that said, it's just like if you're not that strong yet, you can totally get away with it. 100% get away with it. And it can give you a lot more training resources too. So like, let's say that if you do 6 sets of squats and then, some accessory work if you're feeling dangerous, and then the next day you take your overhead work from 3 sets to 5 sets, that's probably fine. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. You just kind of have to understand that when you're trading off intensity for volume, you have to adjust your expectations for a little bit. So you can't say that I'm going to add work in for the week and I'm going to take weight increases at the same time. And then the question is, what do I actually care about right now?
Yeah.
Benching like, more than your husband, I think is the
exactly,
goal, isn't it? Can you deadlift more than him? Does he train?
He's a cyclist, so
you could deadlift more than him.
No, God no. That man has.
That's where the
quads, giant calves,
large quads. That's the problem. Is he has bigger quads than me. I don't really care about the deadlift.
Right. Okay. Now we're getting down to the motivational point.
Yeah.
You're beating your husband. I like it.
Right.
Is he a track cyclist or is he a distance guy or what?
Both. I don't know. He did the ride across America back in the day, and now he does his trainer thing.
That's awesome. One of my best friends did the ride across America. Is his and once he graduated from high school, that was his senior summer. He biked across America.
You people are all crazy.
Yeah, that was his college graduation summer. I don't get it, but
right.
If you like
so
cardio,
I think that means that my friend is better than your husband. Then I think because he did it earlier.
He did it younger.
I'm not gonna say.
So your motivation is having bigger quads than your husband. We're pretty much getting down to it now. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Now the front squats make sense. They didn't make sense.
Yeah,
before.
Just screw lower body work and then just get a very jacked upper body.
Yeah. I think get rid of the rack and just get a leg extension machine and just work while you're actually working it from home. Just be doing reps.
Here's what I think the appropriate plan is that tell him to not train his upper body. You talk to some of your chemistry friends, get them to make Anavar for you. Start taking Anavar. Maybe I think 25 cc's 2 times a week, maybe. Just accidentally overdose because no one knows how much quantity that actually is. Train shoulders 5 times a week. And then you can have a jacked upper body and he can have a jacked lower body. And then people will see you and gawk at you. They'll be like, what a disgusting couple.
That's why they pay you the big bucks to come up with those plans.
I think that's the real move, basically, is for you just to have 20-inch Hulk Hogan pythons. And then yeah.
Well, and this is the thing, is I really should work on my upper body more because it's the weak thing, but squats are so fun.
Yeah. That's the thing. So it's the consequences of having fun, it's pretty low, honestly. You know, it's like if you keep having fun and just doing overhead press, squats, and deadlifts because you like them, and then next year you start liking the bench press, you still have a pretty relevant 40 years of training ahead of you to kind of mature that out.
Sure.
You know, so.
Yeah. So in 40 years, you'll have sorted out all of your shoulder.
Yeah, you'll be benching 90 pounds as a 70-year-old. It'll be baller. It'll be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
on that note, I think we'll leave it there. But thanks a lot, Elle. Appreciate you coming on. This is
No, thank you. This is like super primo.
yeah. If
for
there's
me.
Elle, where can we find you for biomedical engineering needs? If we need any sort of,
yeah.
if we need anything like that done.
You don't want to need anything that I make.
What do you make?
Elle?
Like orthopedic instruments or like implants. Like if
That's
you
awesome.
need any body parts replaced.
Right. I need a new
It's
spine.
not a nice
Mine
surgery.
sucks. I really want
I
to do
promise. It's not as cool. It's not like the Archer like robot legs. We're not there yet. So.
that. Damn. That's unfortunate. I'll settle for like the David Pistorius, like the giant new track legs. I'll settle for those. That'd be fine.
Is he a sponsored athlete?
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
Outrun the law constantly. That's his job.
Hey, nice.
Outrun your past.
Yeah.
You've got an Instagram, I think, Elle. If people,
Oh God.
do you want people following you there, or do you don't want to? You just want to leave it?
Sure. I mean, if now you're judging me, everyone else can judge me too. It'll be great.
Yeah. So what's the handle?
It's barbell, spelled like ELLE.
Oh,
Strength.
nice.
Barbell strength,
There
one
you
word.
go.
We'll
10
link
out of
it.
10, Elle.
We'll link it in
10
the
out of
comments.
10. Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing.
No.
Yeah. And if you need someone to manufacture any steroids for you, just slide into Elle's DMs.
Yeah, she has the hookups. She
She's
really
got
does.
some hookups for sure. Alex, where can people find you?
Not on Instagram.
I think you
I
need
just
an
found
Instagram.
out. I just found out that my wife started a second Instagram for us for our adventures in Japan. That apparently people have been like following, and like someone messaged me like, "Oh, I saw that stuff for you in Japan." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "I haven't posted a picture of myself on the internet that's not shirtless in 3 years." I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
What's that Instagram account?
Yeah, I
I
need to
don't
follow
know.
this.
I don't know.
You don't even know.
If I knew, I would have it shut down immediately. No, but you can find a link to the description for my website. I do online coaching. I do programming consults just like this, and then I do full service online coaching, which is like video review, programming, things like that. It's New Year's. Should I do a New Year's special
Yeah.
for people who do resolutions?
Yeah.
What
Do
should
one
it
for
be?
me.
Yeah. What's appropriate? Help me talk through my small business problems. Yeah, we'll do. If you sign up for a quarter, we'll do first month off. So I do most of my stuff. I do subscriptions by the quarter. So if you sign up for a quarter, we'll do first month off. How about that? But yeah, you can find that description or the link in the description. Remember to smash the like button, hit subscribe, mail me a
I only
pipe
worked out how to
bomb
put that
my
on the
PO
other day,
box.
actually.
You got to do the notifications. Turn on notifications. Wait, is it up there?
We'll work
It's
it
Where
out.
do you turn on notifications?
Yeah.
It's somewhere.
I'll get my personal assistant onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Solo, where can we find you at?
I'm not in anywhere. I don't want people following me. So yep. No.
Yep.
I don't. Nah. I'm not
That's
into all
it.
that stuff. Just
You can purchase the Starting Strength app.
nah. Don't even bother.
Nah, don't even
Nah.
worry about it.
Just leave it.
I want you to start an OnlyFans where we get to watch your squat videos. I would
How much
pay
would
for
you
that.
pay for that?
Like a solid $5.
Do I need to be naked?
A
or-
dollar. No. No.
No,
Just
I
treat it like Patreon.
keep
Yeah,
pulling
it's
out
free.
Just
It's
a
free, and
non-lewd
I don't
content.
enjoy it. Is that why? It's just you know that I don't enjoy, it and that's why you want to watch. It's like, yeah, this guy hates this.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Well, now
thing.
it's just turned into this thing. Like, I need to know, are you awesome or are you just like the worst one ever?
No, I'm pretty bad. I was telling Alex before we started recording today how much I hate squatting, and I don't want to do it anymore. So, and I'm not the only
This
one.
is a very good lesson. This is a very good lesson in life. If you enjoy the thing, you'll do it more. If you don't enjoy the thing, you won't do it.
Yep.
and other mysteries of the universe.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up there. Have a good New Year's, guys, and yeah, we will be back
Happy
soon,
New Year.
everyone. Yes, Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you. Happy
thanks for
New Year.
watching, everyone. Thanks, Elle.
Thank you.